The old lighthouse stood stark against the endless gray of the sea. For decades it had guided ships through treacherous waters, its lamp a beacon of hope in the darkest of nights. But the light had gone out now, and the darkness held a different kind of power. Old Man Hemlock was the last keeper. He'd lived alone in the tower for 50 years, his only company the crashing waves and the gulls that wheeled and cried around him. He was a gruff, solitary man, not given to flights of fancy or fear. But even he felt a prickle of unease as the nights grew longer and the fog rolled in, thick and suffocating. It started subtly, a whisper in the wind that sounded like his name. A shadow in the corner of his eye that vanished when he turned. The lamp room, once a place of comfort, now felt cold, the air heavy with a presence he couldn't define. One night, the fog was particularly dense, pressing against the tower like a living thing. Hemlock was checking the unlit lamp when he heard it again. His name, clear as a bell but laced with a mournful sorrow that chilled him to the bone. Hemlock! He spun around, heart hammering, but there was nothing there. Only the swirling fog and the echoing crash of the waves. He told himself it was the wind, the sea playing tricks on his old ears. But he didn't believe it. Then the dream started. He'd see ships, not the sturdy vessels he knew, but ancient things with tattered sails and ghostly crews sinking beneath the waves. He'd hear their screams, the cries of drowning men, and wake up gasping for breath, the salt tang of the sea heavy in his nostrils. One particularly vivid dream showed him a young woman in a white dress, her face pale and sorrowful, reaching out to him from the churning water. When he awoke, he found a single sodden white feather on his pillow. The next night, he decided to keep watch. He sat in the lamp room, a rusty harpoon gun at his side, the only weapon he had. The fog pressed against the glass, and the silence was broken only by the rhythmic creak of the tower. Hours passed and nothing happened. Just as he was beginning to think he'd imagined it all, the lamp flickered. A cold gust of wind swept through the room, and the temperature plummeted. The fog outside seemed to writhe, taking on grotesque shapes. Then he saw her. A figure emerged from the fog, a woman in a white dress, her hair dripping with seawater. Her eyes were wide and filled with an ancient sorrow. She glided towards him, her movements fluid and unnatural. Hemlock raised the harpoon gun, his hand trembling. "How are you?" he croaked, his voice barely a whisper. The figure didn't answer. She reached out to him, her fingers long and pale. As she drew closer, Hemlock could see that her face was decaying, the flesh rotting away to reveal the skull beneath. Terror lent him a strength he didn't know he had. He fired the harpoon gun. The harpoon passed through the figure as if it were smoke. The figure didn't stop. Continued to glide towards him, its decaying face inches from his own. Then it spoke. "Lost," the figure whispered, its voice a chorus of drowned voices. Lost. And cold. It reached for him, its cold, skeletal fingers brushing his cheek. Hemlock screamed, a sound swallowed by the roar of the sea. He stumbled backward, tripping over a coil of rope, and fell, hitting his head on the stone floor. He awoke to the sound of the foghorn, its mournful bellow echoing through the tower.